This month, the FDA announced it would allow the Juul e-cigarette company to keep its brand on the market. The agency had ordered to remove its products from the market 3 years ago, but then agreed to open a scientific review of the brand's devices. Now the FDA says the studies show the e-cigarettes are less harmful than regular cigarettes. Cleveland Clinic pulmonologist Dr. Humberto Choi joins me now to weigh in on the effects of e-cigarettes. Thank you so much, doctor, for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so do you agree that the benefits outweigh the hazards when it comes to e-cigarettes versus the regular cigarettes?
Well, we saw the news that FDA approved the sales of Juul products. This is not a surprise. You know, there are other products that are very similar. There are other different types of vape products out there that are already being sold. So it's not surprising that the FDA approved, specifically this brand. It just happens that a few years ago, this was the most popular product at the time, but the decision is not surprising. But in terms of saying that the benefits outweigh the risks, I think it's very early to say. It was enough for to approve the sale of the product, but from the health and clinical standpoint, yeah, I think it's early to state something like that.
Yeah, this is something that you treat. So what are the effects of vaping that you've treated in patients, and how is it different maybe from tobacco use?
Yeah, so we know a lot about the short-term risks of vape products. Before the COVID pandemic in 2019, there was an outbreak of several people getting very ill with respiratory failure and something that we call ARDS and needed to be hospitalized. Those are probably the more extreme forms of lung inflammation that someone can get from vape. But someone can get something more mild, which could be just a cough or changes in the X-ray or a CT scan showing signs of inflammation in the lungs. We can also see throat issues, asthma flare-ups and exacerbations from that, and other even cardiovascular problems from vape use as well.
Parents and anti-tobacco groups, they're blaming e-cigarette companies for young people getting addicted to e-cigarettes, especially when they're so vulnerable at a young age. Are you seeing more teen patients? And I'm wondering what kind of complications maybe they're having.
Yeah, so I see mostly adults, and we see the effects in adults as well. Teenagers and even younger kids, are more vulnerable to the effects of nicotine dependence because they're younger, the brain is developing. So we definitely don't want, a new generation to grow up under the effect of a chemical dependence such as nicotine, because it's a very strong dependence. So, and it's not only the physical impact that it can come, but also the emotional and psychological effects that just the use of vape and especially the nicotine dependence that can cause.
As a pulmonologist specialist, I'm wondering, what do you hope happens when it comes to e-cigarettes and the message surrounding them? Because even though there's a study looking at them versus regular cigarettes, what are the risks?
So a lot of people wonder about the long-term risks, because that's what we know a lot about cigarette smoking. We know about the risk of developing cancer, chronic lung disease, and heart disease from that. It's very early to say what effects electronic cigarettes will have in the long term, things that could be maybe irreversible. The use of electronic cigarettes and vape is fairly new, has been around only for a few years. So it will take a few years for us to know what the long-term effects. However, what we are already seeing, there are short-term effects, and we'll see if this is something that will be permanent or not. And there are already mechanisms that we are seeing that can lead to cancer, that could lead to chronic lung disease and maybe cardiovascular disease as well.
All right, doctor, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on this important topic. We'll keep tabs on it. We appreciate you, though.
Thank you so much.